I like smoking better than vaping.
I smoke black and mild.
No, I don't smoke or vape.
I vape. I used it to quit smoking.
I've never smoked before, just vape.
I vape mostly for fun. I used to smoke cigarettes when I was about 16.
I vape. I do both, actually.
After a while, she eventually convinced me to make the move over to vaping.
Vaping's very, I guess you could say, a high-tech version of smoking. You've got different flavors that you can do. It's all based off of like a battery and a coil system. So battery provides power to a coil, it heats up the coil to produce the vapor off the cotton. So the difference between a normal cigarette and a vape can be dramatic and or nothing at all depending on what you're doing. The nice thing about vapes is you have the ability to choose how much nicotine you want in your juice. The different type of vape pens, you have like your small stick batteries. They're just very straightforward. Plug in a micro USB charger for the most of them and just screws a tank right on top of it. Not too complicated. You've got small like nic salt devices like these. It's a lot smaller, little coil, not a lot of cloud production. It's really good if you're coming off cigarettes. And then if you want more of like a cloud production, more flavor, you can go to stuff like RDAs, which you build your own coils for. It kind of adds a hobby side of vaping. And then there's like single, dual, and triple battery mods where you're using different batteries to throw them. They don't have internals. Gives you a little bit more customization. The initial cost is slightly more expensive. It's definitely the first time cheaper to buy cigarettes, but once you get a vape and you get started, it's a lot cheaper to buy vape juice and a coil than it is to buy cigarettes because you don't go through them as fast as you would. I mean, even if you do, it's most of the time cheaper. There's definitely scenarios in which someone could spend more money vaping than they could smoking cigarettes. You have small bottles like these. These are like little 15 mils, and then they go up basically in increments of 15 to 20 mils at a time. Stuff like these are like $6. They're super affordable for people. And then for people that are a little bit more certain into what they want to use, you can get bigger bottles in the like 60 to 100 mil range, where it's kind of like the buy bulk mentality. You spend a little bit less money for the amount of juice that you're getting, but it's a lot cheaper than buying a lot of smaller bottles. Starter kit 2 battery mods or single battery mods honestly just depends on what you're looking at. There are options where you could start out at like $60, $70 if you want to do a single battery one, or if you're trying to get something like really crazy and fancy, then you could do like a 2 or 3 battery mod, and those are going to usually be around the $100 to $110 range to start out. For people coming off cigarettes, which is most of the situation now, I would still probably stick with MiniFit as my recommendation. If you're starting off and you used to be like a pack-a-day smoker, then there's a nicotine level that you can use to get you close to that. The initial start is that you're trying to match the same nicotine, because if you're not, then you're going to go back to smoking cigarettes. But then when you get used to it, you can slowly wean yourself off to the point that you don't even need to smoke anymore if you don't want to. We don't technically know long-term effects, but from everything that we've been seeing, it looks like it's going to be a lot better for us to be vaping than it would be to smoke.
I vape because it helps me like control my social anxiety and all that.
Get a stress reliever.
I need that intake of the smoke.
Smoking for way too long, really hard to quit, and this actually worked.
I'd like go take smoke breaks, just like get all the stress out. But with vaping, it's so much easier. It's not even like worth the cigarette anymore.
Stress and something to do. Everyone was doing it. And I started vaping around age 25 after I got out of the military because I wanted to work on quit smoking, and it does definitely help.
I love nicotine, always have, probably always will. I have no plans to quit vaping at all.
I think vaping really costs a lot of money than smoking.
No, it's more expensive actually. Yeah, because now they have all these exotic flavors and stuff.
Like, you have to go buy cigarettes all the time, and those can be expensive.
They probably end up being about the same.
Smoking is definitely cheaper.
Depending on how much you vape and your consistency of your nicotine levels, vaping can be expensive.
It's a little expensive, but once you get past that first big expense, it's mostly just keeping up the upkeep.
Something like a Juul, you can't control the amount of nicotine, and it's really high, so it's not really going to help you quit. But if it has its own tank and you can put your own juice in there, then you can control the flavor of it and how much nicotine's in it, even if you want to go down to 0.
Smog makes really solid products. I've had this one for like 20 months. No issues.
Now, with the developing of salt and nicotine juice, it's not only cleaner for your cardiovascular system, it also allows for a faster nicotine punch. So it's definitely a lot cleaner and a lot harsher as well.
If you want to quit smoking, I'd say vaping. But if you're not doing either, I'd say no, neither, because they do, since vaping does have nicotine in it, you can get the 0 nicotine, and that does help. But a lot of times, most people get it with nicotine, and so that still isn't an addictive product.
I know some people that have smoked cigarettes for 40 years and they go to try and hit the vape and it's just an entirely different thing on their throat. So they cough and they have a bunch of trouble with it. So I would definitely start smaller, just so you don't have that whole reaction.
Actually, it was about 3 days in. I went for a bike ride. Usually where I go to catch my breath, I stopped my bike and I was like, I'm not winded and tired.
Overall, the health benefits, especially if you're a smoker, it's easier, and you'll definitely notice the change, not only in your lungs, but how you feel. You don't feel groggy, you don't have that bad cough, you don't feel sluggish, and your overall, also your complexion and your face changes after a while when you start vaping more.
Try different juices and try different strengths of different juices as well until you find something that really fits you perfectly and it gives you the nicotine you need and you're satisfied and you don't crave a cigarette all the time.